With me right now is a very special guest, and we're speaking at a very interesting time. Let's get straight into it. I have with me Saurabh Vatsa, Managing Director, Nissan Motor India. Thanks very much for being here. Welcome to WION World is One.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
We have to, of course, talk about the game changer that you just mentioned, the X-Trail 4th generation that the market is geared up for. Tell us more about what really went into the thought process when it talks about the kind of technology and the Japanese DNA, like you've talked about at length.
So, Molly, I think we should take a step back and look at what Nissan is doing in India.
Yes.
So, obviously, we've chosen to take a little time off and take a step back, define a full strategy for India, and then come back.
Yes.
Now, what you're seeing is actually a product of that strategy. But essentially, what is the strategy? Now, we've defined a midterm plan, which is called the ARC.
Yes.
This is financial year 24 to 26. So, it's a very tight time frame. We are sitting in the middle of 24. It's a very tight time frame. And within that, what we are looking at is making sure that we have a firm plan for products, volume, consumer, and the brand. Now, this is based on three-pronged strategy. Clearly, we are looking at the best of technologies from Nissan, a strong Japanese DNA demonstration through our products, and we are looking at making sure that we are attacking the market in the right way. That is with the SUVs. So the SUVs will become the form factor, which is the selected chosen one, and it will be supplemented by technologies from Nissan and the Japanese DNA. Now we are also going to market in three different steps. We have the CBU, and the first of that is the X-Trail that you see here. The CBUs basically allow us to get the best of the Nissan technologies for the aspirational buyer, and it gives us a very aspirational product in the market to actually demonstrate to the consumers that Nissan has the best of technologies across the world. Then we have a very strong focus coming alive on the domestic business, and it is supported by the export business. How does that come alive? CBU, we've announced the X-Trail. On the domestic market side, we are going to do four things. One, we're going to refresh the Magnite, and I'll talk a little more about that. We're getting two new C SUVs. One will be a 5-seater, one will be a 7-seater. They'll be differentiated because 5-seat and 7-seat consumers are completely different. And we are working on a very affordable EV that's going to come in. And all of this, again, is in this tight time frame of FY24 to 26. So essentially what we're doing is, if you look at the Magnite right now, we're doing about 35,000 units a year, domestic market. And we're going to take that to all these products put together. We're going to take that to 100,000 units domestic market only by financial year 26. Of course, it's going to be new cars coming in over a period of time, but all between FY24 and 26. Exports will also grow to 100,000 units. So that's 200,000 units from the Nissan factory wearing a Nissan badge by financial year 26. Of course, supported by the CBUs that we have to bring in the best of halo technologies from Nissan.
It's very interesting how you mentioned the term ARC. You know, you said it's FY24 to 26, the vision for that period. You also emphasized earlier on in the presentation about how it's the immediate future that you're looking at in this 3-year period specifically, and how one can never be too prepared given what the pandemic has taught us. Tell us more about why these 3 years were chosen and why we're looking at this timeline of the ARC specifically.
So that's an interesting question, multiple combinations here. So one, Magnite has been in the market for the last 3.5 years, and for us it's a success. And when I say it's a success, we've sold 30,000 plus in a very competitive market year on year. We've delivered about 100,000 plus vehicles in India. It has really kept the company going for the last 3.5 years, and like I said, it has allowed us to take the time to firm up the strategy for Nissan for the future. Our last plan, which was the next, finished in 23. The midterm plan is FY24 to 26. This is not just for India, but globally, Nissan's is a midterm plan. And this is going to lead to the ambition 2030. So, like I said, in this VUCA world or in the BANI world and all these new definitions which are coming up for a very, very, I would say, fluid situation that we have faced after the pandemic, What's really important is we look at a short term, which is what we all can foresee. We work towards that, and we have concrete plans and strategies for that short term. So, in my entire dialogue today, we did not go beyond 26. Does it mean that we are not going beyond and thinking beyond 26? Of course, you are. Why? Because everything that you are rolling out in 25, 26 will have a life cycle. So you can see that it's not just 25, 26. Obviously, things will go beyond 26. But what we are focusing on is our immediate future, and how we will react to that, and how we will bring the portfolio alive in India, and how does that kind of pan out for Nissan brand in India.
How important is India as a market for Nissan's strategy?
So you saw that. I mean, clearly, India is a very important part of the midterm plan called ARC for Nissan globally. So you saw 13 new models, 1 million additional units going in for the Nissan brand globally. Out of that, 13 coming in with 300,000 units coming into AMEO, which is Asia, Middle East, Africa, Middle East, India, Europe, and Oceania. And out of that, 3 new models coming here and 100,000 units being added into the volume here. And you have 100,000 for the export. So clearly, India is a solid part of our ARC plan globally. So when you look at Nissan World, India is right there now.
When it comes to tying up with local suppliers to boost that partnership and that vision, speaking specifically of India?
We have a very strong ecosystem of vendors and partners and suppliers in India, and they are one of the finest. They are the best in terms of quality, in terms of cost, in terms of engineering, in terms of efficiency. And that is what we are going to leverage when we are localizing our CSUVs as they come in. When we're talking about an affordable and competitive EV, of course, you're going to set up your ecosystem in such a way that you will be very competitive. To be competitive, you'll have to localize. Where do you go to localize? With your vendor base in the country. So India today has some of the finest vendor bases that one can imagine. Nissan is already engaged with them and has been engaged with them for the last 15 years. So we are going to leverage that. And I keep saying, Magnite is the success which is helping us put this entire plan in place and go ahead.
So there are plans to boost those partnerships,
of course,
which have been there for the longest time. Speaking also about the growth that the auto industry in India has seen and the potential that it has at this point, according to you, in terms of growth, in terms of job creation, what is your assessment of where the industry stands at this point?
I think post-pandemic, there was a lot of pent-up demand. And we saw that multiplier in the market month over month. We've seen a little bit of a cool off in the Q1. Of course, it's had its own reasons with the elections and the heat waves and all of that. So Q1's been a little subdued, although it has grown over last year, but it's a little subdued. But if you were to look at the financial year 24, 25, we are pegging that it will be anywhere between 6 to 8% that the industry will be able to see even this year. The industry is getting fueled by multiple things at this point in time. It's new launches. New launches are driving volumes in the industry. It's migration to ever-evolving alternative fuels and the adoption of those. EVs are adding volumes on the other side. So there are multiple factors which are kind of helping the industry to keep growing. And at the same point in time, the economic indicators are telling us that it will be in the range of 6 to 8% for the year.
And tell us more about the upcoming launches that are in the pipeline as far as India is concerned.
Well, I shared with you, right now we're talking about the X-Trail, which is our first CBU, which is coming here. And then, of course, it's got the global best technologies from the house of Nissan. The product proposition is basically on technologies and Japanese DNA, and this has got 100% of that, maybe more. We've got the world's first variable compression ratio engine on it. It's the world's first production variable compression ratio engine, and that's, this doesn't exist in India.
Yes.
This technology doesn't exist in India.
The world's first.
It's the world's first. So now you can see the kind of technologies that Nissan is now bringing to the country. This obviously means we've got a back-end ecosystem as well, which is supporting all of these technologies. So CBUs will play the role for defining aspirational products for consumers who are looking at aspirational offerings from the brand. Domestic, I shared with you, we are going to refresh the Magnite towards the end of financial year 25, and then of course it becomes a global car which is made in India and it's made for the world. So it goes from 15 countries where we export it currently to 40 countries. We'll get a LHD on it. Then you've got the two new C SUVs coming in, 5 and 7, completely differentiated, they look different. They're very exciting products that we are bringing in. True Japanese DNA will reflect in them. And of course, we are looking at an affordable EV. All of this coming in a very, very tight time frame. So you can imagine the excitement that we're going to bring to the market.
I can see the excitement on your face.
Oh, well,
the
thank
spark
you.
in your eye when you talk about these products. And at the heart of those products, like we were discussing earlier, is a combination of factors, among them being the Japanese DNA, exhilarating performance, like you mentioned, versatility, comfort, all of those put together. So tell us more about the strategy when it comes to these launches, to these innovations, of course, which is at the heart of what you do at Nissan.
See, for us, it was quite clear. Nissan is a Japanese brand, and we are pioneers in EV. We have a very strong hybrid technology called the e-Power. We have some of the finest ICE engines over generations, and even now, I mean, you see them on the X-Trail now. So in terms of technology, it's very important for us to bring the best for the Indian consumer. And at the same point in time, what's really important for us is that bring out that Japanese DNA and be true to that DNA, because that's what we are. And that will reflect in our future products that you will see. As we progress and we unfurl new products in this tight time frame of FY 24 to 26, you will see that. India is looking for SUVs in every shape and every size, and which is why we've decided that we're going to focus on the SUV form factor, which is, by the way, a strong, I would say, strength of Nissan brand, and therefore we are playing to our strength. And all of these things put together, the strategy of Japanese DNA, SUV form factor, Nissan patented technologies or strong Nissan technologies, along with connectivity which the consumers are looking for. So, you know, in future you will see a very strong program on connectivity. This is going to define how we go to the market. And in terms of go to market, we are saying it's going to be CBU, domestic and export. Clearly 3 different businesses, 3 different roles, and 3 different volume setups for them. And that's how we bring alive the strategy in the domestic market.
You also touched upon the infrastructure push that the country has seen. How has that impacted or benefited the auto industry in India?
In terms of network or?
Yes, both.
Well, in terms of network, I mean, I'll talk about Nissan. Nissan has today about 272 touch points. And we've sustained that with the Magnite. And often people wonder that, you know, with one car, one brand has sustained such a strong presence. So therefore, what's coming in the future? Obviously, now you can see we're multiplying our domestic volume by almost 3, from 35,000 going to 100,000 in a very short span of time. That means that our network is also going to become scalable. It's going to grow. And that's why I keep saying it has to be sustainable. And therefore, the focus is on sustainability. The focus is on high growth markets. So when I look at high growth markets, we further divide that into 2. Nissan today is present in some large cities where, while we are present, it is maybe a 2 outlet presence or a 3 outlet presence. But the geographies of those large cities actually allow us to have more outlets in those cities. So you go closer in terms of addresses within the large city. I mean, if you imagine a city like Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi, it allows you to go closer to the consumer base. The second is we grow into tier 2, 3, 4. Now, when we say to tier 2, 3, 4, there are large pockets where today Nissan is not present because we are a one-car portfolio. But when you multiply your portfolio, and for the kind of portfolio that you bring in, you identify locations where you're not present, but you will go there. Today, we have 84 partners with who we work. 84 partners with 272 touch points. By the end of financial year 24, we'll be close to, in fact, we'll cross 300 touch points. Now, this is actually telling you that as the portfolio comes alive, the touch points increase. But we are also allowing our existing partners to grow with us. That means they get the first opportunity to kind of go to these markets that we open up. because they've been with us for a long time and now it's their time to kind of grow with Nissan. Obviously, we'll be adding in new partners, but this is the way we are looking at, so that you look at the whole portfolio in such a way that when I say portfolio, it's the entire network portfolio in such a way that it grows in high growth areas and it becomes sustainable for the future. And all of this we're discussing is only 24, 26.
Wow.
We haven't gone beyond.
And speaking specifically about electric vehicles, the plans to introduce EVs in India, also the road towards cleaner forms of energy, of course, comes with a series of challenges and hurdles. So what is Nissan's strategy to tackle those?
See, EVs are going to be necessary and essential in India, both from a consumer perspective and from the perspective of meeting emission standards. Therefore, Nissan is no different. Nissan is a pioneer of EV technology. Our first EV was built in the 40s. It was called the Nissan Tama. And then Nissan gave the world's first commercially produced EV, which was the Nissan Leaf. So our experience in EVs is significant. And it's been quite a journey. And therefore, working on EVs is only obvious for Nissan, especially for India. But when we look at the Indian market, the EVs have to be affordable. And that's why we keep saying, when we talk about EVs, we add the word affordable in front of that. Affordable EV for India. Affordable means that I'm not talking about profitability, but I'm talking about being competitive. You will have to have a complete ecosystem in India for making it competitive. And at this point in time, without giving further details, all I can say is we are working towards that. Because again, that's within this time frame that I've shared with you. It's between 24 and 26. And that's what we are working on, to make sure that we have a attractive SUV, which is going to be with a EV powertrain, and it's going to be affordable for India first.
You also touched upon how we're, facing multiple geopolitical challenges right now. Of course, they've also, impacted the auto industry in multiple ways. Tell us more about that and the way forward, and how Nissan is planning to, or has tackled those hurdles.
So I think first things first is, given all these challenges that you see today, it's not just India, it's globally.
Yes.
Some of these are beyond our control. We don't control them, but we are affected by them. And what we try to do is find ways and means of dealing with them, which is why the first thing that we do is we don't talk about a future which goes to 10 years from now. We talk about a future which is immediate, where we know what's coming and we kind of can foresee that whatever plans we are making will come alive. At the same point in time, these kind of challenges are affecting both imports of critical components and exports of CBUs, or fully built parts that go to various parts of the world. I would say that our team has found various means of dealing with these situations very innovatively, and I'm very proud of my team, which has brought alive these innovative approaches to finding these solutions as and when we deal with these, whether it's on the export business, where are we shipping cars, how are we shipping cars, which routes are we taking to ship the cars, which ports are we identifying to take the cars to. I think the team's been fairly, I would say, flexible, innovative, and very agile in terms of finding solutions to these. And we will continue to do that, because we don't control some of these extraneous factors. But what we should be ready to do is to deal with them. And for that, you need a very agile and able team. And I'm proud of the team that is delivering to these objectives.
That says a lot, because the impact as far as supply chains, for example, is concerned has been tremendous. Speaking of challenges, what about the Chinese challenges and the company's take on that?
Well, I would say that right now Nissan India is focusing on a portfolio which is made in India, made for India, made by Indians. We are not really dealing with that particular challenge as far as these products are concerned that we are talking of. Globally, yes, there could be issues in various markets. We are focused on right now delivering the strategy for India. For us, the option is only one: succeed in India. We are going with that single-minded focus, that we bring alive the portfolio that we've just shared with you. We bring alive the strategy that we've shared with you. And it is very, very, very focused on the Indian consumer with what we are bringing from the house of Nissan. Therefore, I would say we are fairly straight to the point, going ahead flat out.
What is your assessment or impression of the Indian consumer and the kind of expectations and the priorities they have when it comes to vehicles?
I think the Indian consumer is one of the smartest. And
I'm sure they would love to hear that.
no, I mean, that's a fact.
Yes.
When I say they are one of the smartest, is because the consumer really knows what's the budget, what's the best within the budget,
Yes.
and therefore what are the options that they look for. The consumer, the amount of research that they do before they buy a product, or in fact consider a couple of products and then narrow down to one, it's what's really telling us is the research that we do with the consumers. It's one of the sharpest than anywhere else. So consumers today are able to really pinpoint what they're looking for, and they have a very smart way of identifying that digitally, physically. They actually visit shops, they actually look at stuff, and a lot of influencers today are providing them that data. But the consumers become very smart. And I think in terms of the smart consumer, in terms of the regulations and standards in India, the cars that are going to come in the future in India will be perhaps one of the finest. And that is why we are saying we have an India first strategy, cater to that smart consumer first, meet all the regulations and standards first. By way of catering to that smart Indian consumer, you are actually ready to export it to a very large number of countries. And that's the strategy that we are taking forward, and which is why you see domestic numbers and export numbers all focused together.
There is a lot to look forward to,
Well, clearly.
and we're speaking at a very exciting time, which is bound to get all the more eventful. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Saurabh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.